Google is creating AI that should be rivaling other AIs. So I think they're using AI to detect AI, if I had to guess. And if the site passes a certain threshold as far as AI generated content versus original, like true content, they're probably saying if it passes X%, we're going to really de-index you based on that.
Welcome to another episode of What's Working in E-commerce. I'm your host, Eagan Heath from Asymmetric Marketing. You can find us at asymmetric.pro, A-S-Y-M, metric.pro. Today, I'm speaking with an SEO and PPC mind who I know and love. Sam and I worked together in the earliest years of my very first SEO agency, Get Found Madison. Sam is now president over at RyTech LLC. So I welcome Sam Kessenich, president of RyTech, to What's Working in E-commerce.
Hey, appreciate that, Eagan. Excited to be here.
You're like, that's pretty formal, dude. We used to be, I'd be sitting in my apartment going over Zoom right from the MacBook Pro.
I owe you quite a bit from those early days at Get Found Madison. So appreciate the formal introduction nowadays.
Today is a good day for the student to teach the teacher. I'm an old dog here. I know you're running a lot of SEO for your clients there at RyTech. I originally reached out because you posted on LinkedIn about the algorithm change, about AI, what's going on with SEO and AI, and kind of where you see the algorithm going. I always just want to talk to smart SEO people to see what's going on, so I know for my own sites and also for our clients. How do you talk with your clients and your prospects about SEO, AI, and all these updates?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and it seems like it's changing on a fairly regular basis. The post on LinkedIn actually spun from, we did a prediction post for 2024 in late 2023. And at the time, I was talking with our SEO manager, and I was just saying, what do you expect to see next year? And we were coming off back-to-back algorithm updates. I think there was 3 in a 3-month or 4-month period. And we just said, this isn't going to slow down. It's never been easier to produce content. And I would say to produce, like, from AI standards, from what it was a year or two ago, high quality AI content. We think that this is just going to speed up from an algorithm update point of view. Google needs to try and stay ahead of this, but it's easier said than done for Google to stay ahead of. So that's what kind of spawned that post. Yeah. It was, hey, this is one of a couple we have that is coming true, and we're seeing some major fluctuations in search results with this most recent algorithm update.
Yeah, and I don't know if I have the right one up here, Sam, but I'm trying to share on screen. I'll read it for people who are listening. He said, "Woo, let's go! One of my 2024 predictions: the year of the algorithm update. Quote: It's easier than ever to absolutely pump content out. See AI content writers." Google is going to have to sift through garbage content faster than ever. Since AI is constantly changing, Google algorithms will be ever evolving to keep up with the sheer content volume being produced. Looks like the most recent core algorithm update specifically targeting these websites, completely taking them out of search results. We've got a link here to the Search Engine Journal article. We'll be sure to mention that too, but this is a good thing for people to be watching for. It looked really easy there for a minute of just have ChatGPT or Jasper or whatever it is, just cranking out posts. Go ahead and just hit publish in WordPress. No need to think about it. Sounds like we got to pump the brakes on that a little bit. Is that how you think about it?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. And I see a couple of SEO tools. I'm not going to just call them out blatantly, but I see SEO tools really embracing the AI side of content creation too. And I think that it seems great to be able to outsource your content creation to a tool for a fraction of what a true content writer costs. But I think long-term, that's going to be a terrible way for a business to try and set themselves up for success. I think that search engine article that I shared on LinkedIn too said there's between 800 different sites that went to basically zero in terms of organic expected after that algorithm update. It's just so easy to be dinged based on that.
Yeah, it's almost like the algorithm updates of old of people are just getting totally pulled off the index. It used to be if you had sort of spammy links or you're doing black hat stuff to do link building, that was the concern. Now it seems if you're just cranking out AI content, they could just pull you off. Any idea how Google's identifying the AI content?
My thought would be Google is creating AI that should be rivaling other AI. So ChatGPT is what we refer to quite a bit. And I think when people say AI, they're referring to ChatGPT a lot of the time or vice versa. Google's trying to create their own chatbot to rival that. And by a lot of instances, Gemini, Google's creation, is rivaling that quite a bit. So I think they're using AI to detect AI, if I had to guess. And if the site passes a certain threshold as far as AI generated content versus original, like true content, they're likely doing it's not a manual action if it's from a core update, but they're probably saying if it passes X%, we're going to really de-index you based on that.
And I've heard mixed things in terms of, I know teachers and things are concerned, are students writing their papers with AI? I haven't kept up with it week by week, month by month here, but last I'd heard, the detectors weren't quite there. Like we really didn't know if something was written by AI or not. Do you know anything about that, or can you comment on that side of things?
Yeah, I haven't used what teachers are using, for example, but I know there are paid subscription that can generate or can detect. What I have seen some of the tools doing is, instead of saying, hey, we're going to generate from start to finish based on a single prompt, it's taking it chunk by chunk. And that's how they're getting around some of these detectors. So I would imagine that it's similar to the Black Hat days, like you mentioned. It's, hey, we have a way to try and cheat the system, and then all of a sudden Google catches up, and then we're going to find a new way to try and cheat the system, and then Google catches up again. And then I feel like it's going to be an iterative process. So to a certain point, it's how much time do you want to invest in trying to get around the process versus how much time do you want to invest in just creating true quality content that is going to be rewarded long-term on Google.
Right. And I'm not above naming names here. We talk about software tools all the time. I gave an AI and SEO talk here at Social Media Breakfast Madison. I tried Surfer SEO after some recommendations of people have been on this show, and I was pretty blown away by it. I did Content Shake, that was through SEMrush. I was less impressed by that one, and I did same prompt, same topic, and it wasn't even apples to apples at all. It seems like Surfer was really doing this sort of skyscraper technique thing of checking what's on the top 10 results on the result page, making sure you have all that and more. Pretty impressive, particularly when you buy the credits and have it write the content. It's giving you images you can cite and reference and things like that. Are there other tools that you're running into that you've checked out?
Yeah, so from a core SEO point of view, we use Ahrefs on a regular basis, but that doesn't do the writing for you. What I've been really impressed with is there's a new tool that I've been seeing a ton of new enhancements called Keywords Everywhere. They do a really good job of, how I like to use them is they do a really good job of categorization and content clustering. So here's a list of 10,000 keywords. We don't need to write 10,000 pieces of content to target all of these keywords. Keywords Everywhere is using AI to try and say, hey, what keywords semantically are the same? What kind of keywords can we rank for if we just write one piece of art or one article? And that one article might actually be able to target 1,000 of these keywords or 1,200, whereas a different can only target 10. So it allows us to rank what we want to do based on that. They are the ones that are, I think, they have a way that their content writing machine can get around some of the AI currently as well, but I wouldn't rely too heavily on that. RyTech, our agency, still has a content team that does the strategic content writing and content work, and we continue to see that be rewarded. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, because businesses will continue to invest in that to have that unique content. Even if it's not specific for SEO, it needs to be like brand specific content that you can share across a number of different platforms.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I said in my talk, and I've been saying, is when you think of what Google recommends about the EEAT framework, that expertise and that experience, those parts of that framework, even the authority and the trust, it's like those come from the human, basically. And so if you've got an article on a topic, add in some stories, add in some testimonials, add in something that shows a human did something out in real life in IRL that AI could not reference. And maybe the AI writes much of the rest of the post or helps you structure it, but that expertise and that experience, the humans need to bring that part. Is that how you talk about it?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And we partner with a lot of like smaller to medium-sized businesses too, where there's like true national competition. And when it comes to like B2B businesses, making sure that EEAT is really present on the website is super important. And a lot of ways that you do that is to create content. And it might not be 100% keyword-based content. It might just be content for expertise sake, so that you mentioned the skyscraper method before. We a lot of times do the hub and spoke method. So it's hey, let's find the long tail keywords that can be the spokes around this one hub keyword. And the keywords are transactional keywords. So let's create information that is authoritative by experts to try and bolster up this one core keyword that is the transactional keyword that we have. That's just one small method, and it's really specific to SEO about how you can use some of the expertise you have to try and take out some of the larger players in the game when you're a small to mid-sized firm.
Yeah. You also mentioned Ahrefs. I'm a big fan of that one as well. My new business partner and I are going back and forth on, are we a SEMrush shop? Are we an Ahrefs shop? So far, we're paying for both. How do Ahrefs always think of it? It's pretty link heavy. It's really showing you that authority. What's your link profile and so on? What's your domain rating? How do you weigh that in the scheme of things these days? How do you think about links and authority versus content and on page? And maybe there's a technical piece of it or a UX piece too, but what do you see as the pie graph? What do you see as the balance when you're trying to drive SEO results?
Yeah, it's really case by case, but I think SEO now is more holistic than it's ever been. So when I started, when we were talking about Found Madison 7-8 years ago, there was keywords we would write off just based on domain rating, saying you're never going to be able to rank for something like this because look at the domain rating for the competition versus yours. We're seeing a lot more, I don't want to say transparency, that's not really the word, but we're seeing smaller, not as authoritative sites in the terms of like how many backlinks do you have ranking on a more regular basis than we ever have. And I think it's because there are true content strategies and like authoritative figures that are actually providing the expertise that you're mentioning. And Google's just getting smarter and smarter. So it's not saying that, hey, if we want to rank for anything in the SEO game, we need to be Moz.com, who has been around forever. It is obviously super well known. If you just write really quality content and you can back that up with the expertise and you can show that you deserve to rank, I think that's being paid off more and more often. That's not to say that domain rating doesn't matter at all. It's all taken into kind of one larger piece, but I don't rank one specific factor like domain rating as heavily as I did 7 years ago when I started at RyTech.
Yeah, that's well put. I'm thinking also, it's like links and backlinks were almost a proxy for authority. That's how Google did it in the early days. They came up with PageRank. They had that whole algorithm, but they've gotten so much more sophisticated over the years. And there's other ways to see, is this a reputable site? Are they writing about relevant content elsewhere on the site? And then all the sorts of UX type signals of page speed and so on, are people pogo sticking and leaving back out to the result page? They've got so many pieces of data there that the backlinks is just one piece of it.
Yeah. And to go on top of that, I know we're talking about SEO, but RyTech, we believe that there's a holistic way to approach marketing. And it might be that a lot of your potential readers aren't finding your information from a search engine. So what we really say too is like, hey, let's write content that is relevant and topical. And if it's not going to be found through SEO, let's figure out how we can get it in front of the potential users. So in front of that potential audience base. One thing that I think people still don't truly digest or don't realize is content production. And once a blog post is live, like that should be part of the strategy, but it's not the whole strategy. So let's figure out where your actual target audience is and how to get in front of them. One of the other predictions that we had is LinkedIn's going to get more, be a larger platform from a marketing point of view this year than it ever has been. And we're seeing that play out continuously too. We have a ton of different B2B clients, for example, who they're investing in specific like social advocacy software. So it's not just the marketing team or the sales team that's sharing, but it's all the influential people at their organization that's sharing all the content that we spend hours creating anyways out to LinkedIn in front of all their audiences, because they have audiences that they've been fostering for 30, 40 years in some of these industries. It's so much of it, I feel like, is just, let's not rely on one area to distribute this content. Let's not just rely on Google to distribute it. Let's get a little more proactive in distributing it too. And I would imagine that's going to have some long-term benefits just in terms of overall engagement on our site, that Google always says, hey, on-site engagement is not a ranking factor. TBD if that actually is true or not. But I feel like there might be benefits to that as well.
Yeah, I think you make a good point too. Think outside of the classic SEO stuff of just the website too, of where else are people seeing you? Are they seeing you on LinkedIn? Are they finding you on YouTube? Is it other channels? So that's part of what we try to follow here. So big fan of that. Love that, Sam.
Yeah.
Also interesting to hear you mention keywords everywhere. That had been a free tool forever. Totally understand that they had to start charging for it. So interesting to hear you're still using that one. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. If they just continue to innovate, I don't see a reason not to. It's saving us time, saving us energy, and making us smarter from an SEO point of view. To go back to what you just said too, being found where your actual audience is, one of the most recent algorithm updates, the major winners, I would say, Reddit and Quora. And I'm just going to share my screen real show what we're seeing from just an overall impact that some of these sites are real quick. So you can see that between 2023, 2024, when the helpful content update hit, Reddit started to take off. And I'm not saying like 10, 15%. I'm saying like 300, 400% increases in organic, estimated organic traffic just to Reddit alone. And it's not right here is about the same time frame for Quora as well. And their keyword rankings just started to take off. And if you pulled up SEMrush, it's going to show the same thing. So these are Ahrefs graphs. But I think it's really worth noting that these content aggregators, they're really starting to win here as well. And it's not just these two. I think it's WikiHow as well is starting to win quite a bit too. It's interesting to see that this user-generated content is really having quite an insurgence on Google as well.
Yeah, thank you for showing that. That's great data. I could see there's a kind of Barnacle SEO play there as well. In the old days for local businesses, it's okay, we want to show up for Yelp or Wedding Wire or whatever's appropriate in our industry. In this case, even if you're doing content marketing, it could behoove you or your clients to go in and answer some of those questions on Quora and Reddit. Is that how you guys think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. If that's where the target audience is, let's not try and move them from where they are to where they actually are. I think that it's a lot easier to try and go and than to change somebody's internet browsing behavior for sure.
There you go. Don't swim against the tide here. This is good. Anything 100%. Else, Sam, that you want to add or anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I would love to just get your input. I deal with a lot of B2B clients. We don't have a ton of e-commerce, and I would love to hear what you're seeing in the e-commerce space if you'd like to share.
Yeah, so on the SEO side, I think it's really tough. As with every other platform, it's really a pay-to-play thing. And so we had clients where they were ranking #1 in the US for an SEO phrase, and they were hardly getting any clicks. It was decent volume keywords, and it was just ads had pushed them down, or it was informational queries, and the featured snippet, or now the Google AI beta, is answering the question without getting the traffic. And so I think the SEO game is pretty tough there. I'm trying to diversify a little bit myself in terms of podcasting, YouTube videos, things like that. We've seen clients can rank for a phrase with a YouTube video where it maybe because of some of that authority or those backlinks, they're not able to rank with just a blog post or a page. So I think it's good to think multi-channel in that sense. Google did drop Google Podcasts. We were seeing audio podcast results in some result pages. Now they've moved all that into YouTube basically. So that's where that lives now. And then in terms of the paid side, it's very possible to snipe off some of those clicks from the top with smart search campaigns. I should say with strategic search campaigns. We really we are hesitant about the performance max and the automation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Our feeling in general is it's not ethical or right to mix in display with search, remarketing with top of funnel, branded versus non-branded. I think you really want to do those more granularly. And then the shopping place, that's a great place to play as well, just because it's kind of such a pain to set up. The one good thing I ever say about Performance Max is it makes dynamic remarketing on your products much easier. That was unholy difficult on WooCommerce or other site before. Shopify was not too bad, but there's like kind of dynamic code that you have to put in the Google snippet basically. So Google knows it's this product. They actually looked at this product and now we want to remarket it. So it's nice to see that working better, but I think the short answer, Sam, is it's a mess. It's harder than ever. And maybe that's a good reason to be diversifying into other platforms and really getting your email and SMS game up and trying to have that owned growth of once someone becomes a customer or a lead, we're continuing to market to them because it's not getting any easier, cheaper on the major platforms to get new customers.
Yeah, I think all that is a great point. And I think it goes to how are you reporting? It's super important nowadays, especially in the SEO sense of it. Organic traffic just doesn't cut it anymore. And I feel like this should be for all of marketing is think about the strategy holistically, not just for marketing, but for marketing and sales. And let's try and get as much information about the customer as possible, not just about a user or a specific interaction. Because if we should be retargeting past customers or if we should be trying to engage our community with YouTube videos on a regular basis or leaning into LinkedIn again for newsletters or something like that. Let's think about the holistic strategy. Now, let's not just think about how much organic traffic is this one article sending, for example. Love to hear that you're trying to diversify a little bit, even if it comes to, I think a lot of people think traditionally e-commerce is, it's a sale. We can measure that in terms of the sale revenue. And there's a little bit more that goes into this, like as a whole for a business.
Yeah, it's definitely multi-touch in most cases. And it's hard to do the full attribution. That remains the case. I think it's just going to get harder and harder as we move into a cookieless world. So it's definitely plenty of challenges. And I think there's something to say that about something to say here about our careers and the time that we've been doing this, Sam, of we really started straight SEO and now we're doing these different channels and this omni-channel sort of thing. I don't know if that's an N of two, but there's something to be said about that of just the straight SEO agency that's only doing organic search. That was quite common when we got started. There's still people that do that and specialize, and that's awesome. But in many cases, it's not cutting it. It's easier to move into maybe paid and some mix on other newer platforms. Is that how you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's more and more relevant even in the new business conversations that I'm having with potential clients. It's, hey, what are your goals? And people are telling us our goals. They're not coming to us and saying, hey, I need SEO or I need PPC or I need organic social. It's, hey, this is where my business is lacking. And then it's us putting together a marketing plan that often consists of 2, 3, or 4 different tactics and strategies to actually get there, because it so often is not just a one-off piece is going to cut this. It needs to be a little more holistic than that.
Yeah, that's well put. Sam, I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate you coming on. Who is a good person to reach out to you and where can they find you?
Yeah, I love talking marketing. If anybody in marketing or just any business owners want to talk marketing, I'd be more than happy to talk about that, even if it's just to figure out, hey, is my marketing strategy working or is this where I think it should be? If you do a Google search for RyTech LLC, you'll find our website. We have offices in Milwaukee, Chicago, and LaGrange, a suburb of Chicago, but we work with an international client base. Sam Kessenich on LinkedIn is the best way to get to me. I'm speaking this into existence. I am making a more concerted effort to have a LinkedIn strategy for myself and for our business. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, you should just be able to Google search Sam Kessenich RyTech, and LinkedIn should be one of the first pieces that come up. And I'd love to have a conversation with anybody who wants to talk marketing.
Right on. Yeah. And we'll link to all the above. And that is where I saw you, Sam. So I think you're doing it right. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing what's working in e-commerce.
Awesome. Appreciate your time, Eagan. Thank you.